Hi everyone, welcome to this 12D training session. This session is all about the absolute basics. So if you are someone who's never had a look at 12D or are brand new to 12D, or you're one of those customers who have signed up to one of our online training sessions, or if you are a 12D user and just need a refresher, welcome to you all. This is definitely the session for you. Before we begin, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Charlene, and my official title is Regional Sales Manager at 12D New Zealand Limited, and I'm based in Christchurch. A big part of my role at 12D is to support and train our customers, which is what I'm here for today. My background is in land surveying, and I am a graduate of Otago University's School of Surveying. I was class of 2010, so I've been in the surveying industry for the last 12 odd years now, in various roles, and I'm very much looking forward to taking you through this absolute basics training session today. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're covering today. For those of you who have signed up to our online training sessions, we'll go through opening the test project and just making sure that all the settings are correct and that you are ready to jump on the training sessions and get going. The whole idea about this video is to make sure that you have um, had a look at the fundamentals and have tried it out for yourself, because when we get into the training, we'll be jumping into the training content rather than going through the 12D interface or any of the basic tools, for example. We'll go through 12D version 15 interface and creating new projects and opening projects. Version 15 is very exciting. It's had a great facelift and there are lots of new things in there that I'm looking forward to showing you in this video. We'll also go through strings in 12D and how to pick them, and the picking concepts and the snaps, etc., that you need to know about. Data entry, whether it's CAD data entry or importing data, we'll go through that today, and some tips and tricks. So at the end of the session, I expect you to be able to create a new project and open it, and just go through and be able to do some basic CAD functions and be able to import some data. As always, if you have any questions, please email us directly at support@12d.co.nz and we can help you out. For those of you who are doing one of our online training sessions, you would have been sent a couple of links actually, in the training information sheet. One of them would have been to download 12D model, and another would have been to download the training data. And the training data that you download would come through as a zipped file. I've got an example up here, just called it general training. And what I'm going to show you is how to unzip that and where to put it, so all the reference links within the 12D settings that we've sent you for the training are referenced correctly. This might be in your downloads folder or wherever. The main thing to pay special attention to here, is just to make sure that the file path um, is as I will show you once it's been unzipped. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unzip this, extract all, and I want all my training data, the whole training data folder, to just sit under C drive 12D. And I can just go and click on extract. And while this is happening, it's very important that the training data folder simply just sits under C drive and 12D. And like I said, it's because of the way we've set up how 12D model references the license that you've got and any settings that you need, and any of the training data that we'll be importing, just to make your life easier through the training so you're not constantly browsing to get the data. This is almost done now, and you'll see I have my training data folder has now been unzipped and it's sitting under C drive and 12D. And if I double click in this training folder, we'll have a test project. We have our course notes. If you double click in the course notes folder, you'll have all the course notes that are relevant to the training session that you are doing. This is fantastic. It's all there for you to have a look at later and follow, especially if you've missed something or if you'd like to refresh. And then we have some customer and user folders, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go forward. And often throughout the training session that you'll be doing, we will be referencing these folders for our training data. But the first thing what we're going to do while we're here is, if everyone can go into the test project, sorry, the test folder, and you'll notice you will have a shortcut for the project. So it's just called test, and it's called a shortcut for the project. So if everyone can please double click on test to open up 12D. Once you double click, a window like this might pop up on your screen, and then you can simply just go open. Okay. This is what you're looking for when you open your test project. All green lights. Green for go. So if you've got all green lights, we are ready to rumble. We can just close this down if you've all got all green. If anyone has a red light, please get in touch with us and we're happy to help you. If it's the first two, there's an issue referencing the dongle, or you've got the wrong version of 12D installed. So just, yeah, all I can say is if you've got any red lights, please just give 12D New Zealand a call or just email us at support@12d.co.nz and we will help you through it. At this point, we just want to be able to open the test project and know that you're ready to go with the green lights. So we're all done here. We can go finish and we can close this project down. We don't need to save this project. We can simply close it down. What we're going to do now is just open up 12D version 15 and create a new project. So if everyone can go to the Windows Start menu and just open up 12D version 15. So here we have 12D version 15. This is the project launcher or the startup screen. Pretty self-explanatory icons up the front, but we'll go through all of those and what these little icons mean down the bottom. If you're someone who's constantly working on the same project day in, day out, this button here, the very first button, will open the last opened project. Nice and easy way to just open V15 and go, hey, I just want to work on the last project, and 12D will open that up for you. You may have a list of projects that you're working in, and at that point you will likely need to go into this recent projects icon option, and if I click in there, you'll see I have a whole lot of projects that I've been working on. If it's orange, it's open somewhere. If it's red, it's not there. It's either deleted or 12D can't find it at the moment. If it's black, it's in a different version. If it's green, it's all go. You can open it in version 15 without doing anything extra. These three little dots to the left of the project name, if you click on those dots there, it'll open up a number of options. So you've got a few options here. For example, if you want to delete the project or rename it or copy it, you can do that all from the project launcher options screen. To the left of the three dots is there are some different icons around here, but if you click on the icon, it actually opens up the project and some information about the project. On this page, you can, if you're happy with the theme or the theme size, you can simply go and hit the tick button and it will open up the project. But if you, for example, are doing water design, you can simply go and click on the water icon up on the top row, and that will just change the theme to water. And you can change your environment configuration to something different as well. For example, if you're doing water, you're doing some drainage design, you can go and select the right environment configuration. What the environment configuration does is it just opens 12D up in a state where you've set it up to be for what you want to do. For example, as part of the drainage environment configuration, you will likely be pointing to the drainage tools in 12D and have some specific files or folders you might be referencing to, and that's all set up in the environment configuration files. I'm not going to go deep into the environment configuration files today because we are looking at just the basics, but it's important to know what all these options and tabs mean on the startup screen. So that's environment configurations, and then we've got themes. Themes Themes basically open up 12D in a state where it has everything you need and nothing you don't. So when you open up 12D, you'll realize it's a huge program and there are lots of functions and lots of things you can do in 12D, from survey processing all the way to rail and tunnel design. And it can be quite daunting to have all those options up, and it can also be quite crowded. So we have provided everyone with some themes, and that just sets you up to do what you want to do at the time in your project. And you can change these themes when you open the project. So, for example, if you did water design yesterday in this project here, and you're ready to do some surveying today, you can simply go and click on the survey theme and it will open up 12D and the survey theme with all the survey related menus and tools already populated in their new icons. So the icons are all brand new as part of the themes as well. You can also change these themes from within 12D. So once we've opened up the project, we can always go in there and change the themes if you've either incorrectly opened it or you need to change themes while you're in the project. So you'll learn a little bit more about themes as you play around in 12D yourself, and also when we open up the project and have a wee look at it. What we're going to do next is just go back and I'll take you through the remaining buttons. So the new button will create a new project and we'll be coming to that very shortly. And of course, opening, if you have a project that's not a last open project and it's not in the recent list, you may need to browse to it, in which case you will hit the open button and then go and click on the folder icon where it says project location, and you can click on that and browse to your project, where your project is, and open your project from there. Oh, I must have clicked that a few times. Might go back now. Oh, I did click it a few times. Okay, settings. If we go into settings here, this is where you go to choose your environment configuration file, and this is where your settings for how you want 12D to open up and what it references in terms of any settings files or any reference files. You can set that all up as part of the environment configuration. For those of you who are doing training, I would like you to please go and click on the folder icon and just go to browse. This will open up File Explorer and you need to navigate back to where you have your training data downloaded. And if you and mine was in training 15 general. And if you go to the one cust folder in your training data, you will have a file called env underscore configs. If you can just select the file and go open, it will read the file in, and you'll notice the configuration file name change. And because we're doing training and we're using our online license, you want to select the drop down where it says default environment configuration and go and select the 12D training online. Once you've selected the settings that you want to use as part of the project, you can simply click on the update button or the tick button on the top right hand side, and that will save and update the configuration. And we can go back now. The next thing we're going to do is open a new project, but before I do that, I will quickly take you through some of these little icons that sit on the bottom right of the panel. This is your help space really. The very first icon will tell you what's new in 12D model. So we'll open up a rather large document which will take you through all the new things that are in version 15. The next icon, the question mark, will open up the whole 12D reference manual. If you want to find something, you can go in this manual either from this option, and you can open it from within 12D as well. And I'll show you a couple of ways of doing that. The next one along will take you to the 12D model macro manual for those of you who understand programming speak or are interested in creating your own panels. This is the manual for you. The next one is, I think, quite important for anyone who's new to 12D or anyone who just wants to know and learn a little bit more. This icon here will take you to our 12D model YouTube channel, and I honestly can't tell you how many videos there are on that channel because there are too many. And they're videos that go from basics all the way to pretty complicated stormwater design. So if you're looking for something, please go to our YouTube channel and do a search for what you're after, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find it. The very final icon will take you to our 12D model website where you can get some more information about 12D, look at some modules, and certainly our updates for new versions are on the 12D model website. Okay, so for those of us who are doing training, we have set up our settings in the training for the training, and now we can go and open up a new project. For those of you who aren't doing any training, your env configs file will sit just under C drive 12D version 15 and in your user folder. Okay, so to open a new project, everyone can just go and hit the new button on the project launcher. And the first thing we need to do is tell 12D where to put the project. So I'm going to navigate to where I'm going to put my project for training. So for those of you who are doing training, please follow the same process. If we click on the folder button, it will open up File Explorer. And if we can just go to C drive 12D and go into a training folder, and don't click on any other folders, just simply come down here on the bottom right and go select folder. So at this point, our project location is going to be in C drive 12D and our training data folder. Next thing we want to do is give it a project name. We can simply click in here and start typing a name. I'm just going to call this training. You can call it whatever you like, Bob, Fred, so long as you know what you've called it. And the next thing 12D will ask you to do is to let it know whether you want to create a working folder or not. Highly recommend that you leave it ticked on at yes, and I will explain to you what a working folder is. So I'm back into our training data folder. So if I double click on our training data, The project that we opened up recently was test. So if everyone can go into their test projects, test folders, you'll notice that we've got a few files. We've got a shortcut to the project that we used earlier, and we've got a .project folder. When we tell 12D to create a project folder, a working folder, what we're telling 12D to do is put all of this information here into one folder. And so all of this information is currently sitting in a folder called test. This is our working folder. If we didn't have a folder called test, all of this information that's in the test folder would just be sitting out in the project location that we've told 12D, which is this training folder here. And it would look rather messy. So if, for example, for your projects at work, if you put your projects on J drive under 12D, if you don't give it a working folder, which could be, your job name, for example, if you don't do that, your J drive could look very, very messy. So I highly recommend that you leave that working folder option ticked on. And what's in this working folder is your .project folder, and that contains all your models that you'll create or layers, and any other, if you're running some functions within 12D, that'll all go in our .project folder. If we have any outputs that we do, if we create any PDF plot files, for example, or we export some CSV data or anything like that, anything we export or create will go into our working folder. And you can navigate to this working folder from within 12D if you need to look at anything. So again, I highly recommend you leave the working folder tab on. Below working folder, it's asking you which theme you're going to start in. Standard is, well, standard. It's very much the same as classic and classic is the look of 12D as it has been since it began, really. So standard and classic are pretty much the same. Standard has all our new icons though. For the purposes of training, I am going to get everyone to just go and click on the last icon on the top row, and that will change it to the classic theme. The reason I do this is because we write all our training notes in classic, but once you've done the basic training, you're more than welcome to work in the themes, which I highly recommend because they are just fantastic and they've got exactly what you need to do your work. Theme size. This is the size of the icons in 12D. If you're using any of the other themes other than classic, you can go and change the size to small, medium or large or extra large if you wish. I'm thankfully managing to keep my eyesight still 20/20, so I'm going to leave it at small. For training purposes, the environment configuration that we're after is the one we selected earlier, which is 12D Training Online. If you don't have 12D Training Online selected here, please go and hit the drop down select button and go and double click on 12D Training Online. It's the second option that will pop up. Once we've done that, that's all we need to enter and select. And at this point, we can go and hit the create option, which is the tick button on the top right hand side. And this gets 12D opening up a new project. And mine's done it on the other screen, so I'll bring it over once that's open. Okay, so here we have 12D version 15 and the new project that we created has started up, and you'll notice a few things when 12D starts up. So first thing is this is the classic look of 12D. 12D's looked like this for a long, long time, and for those existing users of 12D, you'll be feeling nice and comfortable in this space. For those of you who are new, it could be quite daunting for you. There's a lot going on in the menus up here. You know, you've got BIM and CAD and survey, design. You've got a lot of stuff up here. And so it sometimes is quite nice to condense it down. And it's also nice to have all the tools and toolbars that you need for what you're about to do pop up. You'll notice this is our main menu where it says project file view. That's our main menu area. So if someone ever says, please go to main menu, you are being pointed towards one of these menus up here. Right at the end is your help. This is where you can find a link to the help manual, the reference manual, where you can go and click on that and that'll open up the 12D reference manual for you. And if you want to know about 12D model, you can click on about 12D model and that will open up this panel here and it'll tell you what modules you have. So that the modules restrict what you can do in 12D. So this is our training modules. You've got quite a few things turned on for you, and where it says days remaining, whatever number it says there is how many days you've got remaining. And please make good use of it. Open it up and have a good play around with all the extra modules you may have there as well. Right next to help, you'll notice it says classic there. That means we're in the classic mode of 12D. We're in the classic theme. If you are someone who is a water designer, or a surveyor, you can simply click on that. You can go and select the water theme or the survey theme. It's just as easy. I'm going to go and click on the water theme, and you'll see how quick and easy it is to change themes and what the new themes actually look like. So we'll give 12D a minute or two here just to get on with opening up our theme. Okay, so we have our water theme open now, and you'll see if I move that out of the way is that the icons have changed. They're all blue and they all relate to water design. And up here in the main menus, we no longer have um, some of the menus that we're not going to use really as part of water design, but we've got things like concept design that's for stormwater, and we've got rivers and pipeline open up, which are water specific menus. So that's the power of themes. And in here, you can go and change. If you look at the very end of the main menu area, you can go and change your icon sizes as well. So that's just highlighting to you how cool themes are, and you don't have to go hunting for these toolbars and tools. You just change your themes and you've got exactly what you need to be doing your design or your survey work here. For the rest of this session, I am going to switch back to Classic just so it's easier for everyone to follow when they're looking at their notes. But I strongly encourage for you to work in a theme that you're comfortable in, and to certainly what's required for the project at the time. Okay, we're back to our classic theme, and one of the first things you'll notice when you open up a 12D project is that you've got a couple of pop-up boxes open up. One of them is called Recalc, and this Recalc menu has options for you to either edit or recalculate a function or all functions in 12D. So if you're a designer, you'll be working with functions all the time. Hence, you'll probably want this recalc option up, and it's just very, very easy if you need to recalculate something, is you can just go through recalc. There are no functions in this project, sadly, but you can go through recalc and just select the function you're trying to recalculate. For the purpose of this exercise, and because I'm on a single screen, I like to have every bit of real estate I can use, I'm going to close this away. The other menu or panel you'll see pop up is this one here called Setup Project Details. This is simply a place where you can go and record as much or as little information as you'd like about the project. For example, you've got things like project number here, drawing number, site address, and who the client is, the customer, and who the surveyor or designer, etc. is. You can go and record this, and if you are someone who's going to be plotting from 12D, just know that all of these boxes that you fill in here can be used in the plotting as well. So you don't have to type out who the designer is, etc. over and over again. It can all be referenced from the setup project details. So for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to go to job title and say it's training, and I'm going to put my name down as the computer operator, Charlene. And once you've finished filling in these boxes, you can simply go and hit the set button down the bottom. Set, and it'll say you are done. And once you're done, you can go and hit finish. If you need to add to the panel, if you need to add any more information, you can bring that project details panel back up, and that sits in the main menu project. So if you go up to main menu project on the top left and go down to details and details. So main menu project, details, details, and that will open up the project details panel again. Once you've done what you need to, you can go and hit set and finish. There is another handy little option here under project details. And there is a thing called a diary. Much like any other diary, it's a place to record what you've been doing. So in here, really cool thing to do for you, for your team would be you can go and add a new diary entry every time you come in the project. On different days, you can enter in what you've done or any notes you'd like someone to read. And it's simply just a record of what you've been doing. And really good for those of you who need to fill out timesheets as well. So in here, on today's date, which is the 21st of June, I can just say, did some training, and for timesheet purposes, I can say 4 hours. Don't worry, the video will not be 4 hours long. And you can just go and hit save. And if you are someone who needs to print this out to put in a folder, you can simply hit the export button and export a text file. But we've put in our a diary entry, and I'm happy with what I've done so far, so I can go and hit save, and the diary is now saved. And then once I'm done, I can go and hit finish. So those are some helpful little panels for you to record some background information in, so your supervisor or your colleague picking up the project from where you leave it can know exactly what's been going on and doesn't need a lot of catching up to do. Right, we'll go and look at some of these 12D menus up here. So up on the top area are your main menus. Now there is a trick to these main menus. For example, if we go to water, if we go to main menu water, you'll see you've got a lot of sub options under the water main menu. We can go to water network, and you'll see there are options and functions and panels you can open up under the water network. But if you are someone who's doing a lot of design with water, or is simply coming up to this water network menu a lot, what you can do is you can actually tear this menu off. Wherever you see a menu title in square brackets, you can simply click on the square bracket, the area with the square brackets, and it actually tears that menu off. And you can dock this menu, move it around wherever you like, and dock it, and keep going back to the options that you're using there. So you don't always have to go main menu water to water network. You can simply have that water network menu torn off to the side and use it as many times as you like. I'm going to close that off now. So that's the little secret about the menus. Now, if you are looking for something specific and you can't seem to find it, There is a search button. So yeah, there is a search option in 12D. It sits just above your views. So that's the black area. Just above your views, you'll have the search button. And if you are looking for something, for example, draw line, you can go, or if I just type in line, you can go and just type in line, and any menu with the word line in it will pop up, and you might think, oh, actually that's right, I would like to create a pipeline string, and you can simply just go and select create pipeline string from there. So yeah, there is a search option if you are at a loss. You kind of do have to type in roughly how it's known in 12D. So just know that. So hence why I typed in line rather than anything else. Yeah. So that's the search button. Now right underneath our main menu here is our CAD properties toolbar. So the CAD properties toolbar, we'll start off with, I just need to get rid of the search option. We'll start off with your name, and then we've got our model name, what color something's going to be, and the line style, and other options like symbol and text sizes, etc. That all sits straight under the main menu area, and we call that our CAD properties toolbar. And these CAD properties are just sitting there waiting to be used. For example, if I was to draw a line right now, it would go in the model called base. It would be a color cyan, and it would be a line style of 1. So if you like to go ahead and draw a line or create some text, you just go and change the properties that you want. For example, if I want to draw a line and I want it to be a color yellow, I can go and select the color yellow, and that's ready for you to now draw a yellow line. So it's pretty handy and easy. All those settings are just there waiting. If you are someone who's come from another software package, from a drafting or a CAD background, generally things are identified by a layer, line style, and color. But when you're talking about modeling and 3D modeling and designing, and this is what you'll be doing in 12D, we're dealing with objects, and you need a little bit more information than what color or what layer or model something is in. So the very first item in the CAD properties toolbar is name. Wherever you see this red maroon N button, you have an option to enter an object name. Naming something or using names in 12D is fantastic. If you can get your naming convention consistent, you can get things automated in 12D. For example, you can go and select everything that is called a manhole, and if it's in a certain model or it's a certain color, you can filter it out that way. But you can go and select everything that's called a manhole, and you can export it out and manipulate the data or whatever you need to do. So this is just making sure that you know about names and that you are using names, and it makes 12D life a lot easier for you. So in any panel where you have the option to enter in an object name, you will see this in maroon N button. So if you go and click on your maroon N button, you'll see, it's a collapsed list, but it's a list, it's a names list. So if I go and expand design, for example, we've got some more tree branches in there. So if I go and expand sewer, you'll see in sewer we've got concept design, we've got vent poles and pressure mains, etc. So you can go and select any of these names if you are needing to do anything in the sewer area. Your company might have its own names list and its own settings. This what you see here is something that's shipped with 12D as a standard. So I will show you how the names list works. What we're going to do is we're just going to go and draw a CAD line. So if I go up to CAD, and you can do the same, if you go and hit the N button and go and expand CAD. And then just go and expand the general, which is the first one. Maybe not. We'll go to services and we'll just go down to drain. So we're going to draw a drain line. And if I double click where it says drain and select it, you'll notice that the name is now drain, and where anything that's a drain automatically will go is in a model called CAD/waterway. It's a slash because we're in version 15 and we're using an object tree. And once we've got a model in here, or once we import some data, I will show you what object tree is and what it means in 12D. So a slash basically represents a new structure. So CAD is the folder in this case, and waterway will be the model. It'll be a blue color and a line style of 1, as is shown in your CAD properties toolbar. So these are some presets that are set up for objects that are drain. And like I said, once you get used to your naming conventions, you hardly will look at the list anymore. You'll simply go in and type in what you're doing, and all your presets will change and you'll be ready to work. When you start using 12D a little bit more, and certainly when we do our training, you will notice the power of this names list and the power of actually naming things correctly. Below the CAD properties toolbar is a whole lot of buttons, and these um, these buttons represent a number of different toolbars and tools that it'll open up. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but what I do want to bring your attention to is left to right. The very first set of buttons or set of icons represents our quick access toolbar. Now, in this quick access toolbar, you've got the option to create a new project, open a project. There's the save button. I strongly suggest you get uh, familiarized with where the save button is. You will also have a message like this pop up often where it's giving you a save project reminder, and I strongly encourage you to say yes, and that will allow 12D to go and save everything away. The other place where save is under main menu projects. If you go to main menu project and hit save, you will have saved your project. So back to the quick access toolbar. Yeah, you've got new, open and save, and you can restart your project. So if you've changed some settings, often you need to restart your project for those settings to take effect. You don't have to close it down and reopen it. You can simply hit the restart button from within the project itself. We've got some data import and data export options. We'll look at a little bit more into the data import and export further on. And then we've got undo and redo. Now, there's a good reason why we have an undo option in 12D. There are a couple of undo options. There's the standard Windows one, and you will all be familiar with the old Control Z option. I encourage you to get used to using the 12D undo. And the reason I say that is when you do Control Z in 12D, we don't actually know what you're going to undo. There's no button that pops up and says you are about to undo X. So you're not going to know what you've undone. Whereas if you hit the undo button in 12D, it'll we haven't done anything, so it'll say no more to undo. But if I had drawn a line or something like that, it will say, would you like to undo drawing a line? And you can say, yes, I would like to undo that, or no, I clicked it by mistake. So 100% recommend that you get used to the undo and redo options. And in the quick access toolbar, we've got some project settings that you can have a look at, and you've also got some workspaces. Workspaces are a little bit like themes in the sense that they bring up some of the relevant toolbars. So if you are someone who likes to work in a certain theme, so you like your main menu and the look of 12D to be a certain way, but you want to bring in some workspaces that aren't part of that theme. For example, you might be in a survey theme, but you want to have some of the water tools pop up. So you can just go click and hold on the workspace option, click and hold on the last button in the quick access toolbar to the right of the settings button, and just go and select the water workspace, and the relevant water tools will turn up. So that's our quick access toolbar. And then next to the workspace button that we looked at, you'll see there are 4 folder icons. The first folder will open up your project folder or your working folder. Um, it's what we talked about earlier, creating a working folder, and so you can navigate to it from within 12D using that first folder button. The second one will open your customer folders and then user folders, etc. So the last 3 buttons will open up folders that contain some files or references that you need to have to be able to do some functions in 12D. That'll become more apparent once you've used 12D a little bit more, but the main thing you need to know at this stage is that if you want to go into your project folder and have a look at something or open up something you've exported, this first folder button here will take you there. Now, you will notice a lot of these buttons in 12D have a very small black triangle. And if there's a button that has a very small black triangle, what it's telling you is, please click and hold on me, I'm hiding some options. For example, on the left-hand side of the 12D program, you've got all these CAD tools and other tools. So the very first one on the top is point, and it looks like a little um, crosshair. So if you, and there's a black triangle there. So if you click and hold on that, you'll notice all these CAD point options will pop up. So the first one is create point and the second one is mid segment, and you'll see that as I move from icon to icon and hover over it, a little yellow box pops up with some text in it, and the text in it is telling us what that button actually is. So these little text boxes are called tool tips, and majority of the icons in 12D will have a tooltip. So if you're ever not sure of what something is, just go and hover over it, and you'll and the tooltip will let you know what that is. So anything with a black triangle is one that where you need to click and hold to open up the options. And if you wanted to select something, what you'll be doing is you'll go and click and hold, hover over it so it's selected, so it'll be highlighted blue, as you can see on my screen. And if I want to select the particular option, you simply let your left mouse button go. So to open up the menu, click and hold your left mouse button, hover over and hover over so it's highlighted, and then to select the tool, you simply let your left mouse button go, and that is now selected. So those are some of our um, those are the CAD some of our toolbars on the left-hand side, and you'll notice on the right-hand side of the 12D model grey area, there is also some tools and toolbars there as well. So your toolbars you can dock anywhere you like in 12D, and we'll go and open up some toolbars soon and I'll show you what that means. Now we get to this middle area. This middle area is, these are our views. When we've opened up our project, you will notice three views have opened up. On the left half of the screen, we've got a Plan 1 view. And on the right half of the screen, we've got two views that are split. We've got a section view and a OpenGL 3D view. So this is a setting that's set within the environment file that we sent you. So when you open up a new project using that particular environment file, your 12D model screen will open up with these three views stacked as they are. There are a number of different views in 12D, and they do different things. Wherever you create a view in 12D, you'll notice it'll have a view name at the top, and it has a corresponding icon on the left of it. They also relate to what's down the bottom of the view area. You'll see some tabs with different names on it, and you'll notice on my screen currently the number 1 is highlighted, which corresponds to this view here. That view is called number 1, and the reason why number 1 is highlighted is that that view is active. So if I was to go and draw a line or do anything, it would be happening in that current view. To change views, for example, if you wanted to make your 3D view active, you would simply move your mouse onto the name and the different tabs at the bottom and just click on it. And you've noticed I've just clicked on 3D, and you'll notice the 3D view is now in bold and it's highlighted. And if I go over to the physical view itself, you'll see that it's highlighted and the top part of that window is a darker blue. So that is how you make your view active and inactive. Now there are a few different views in 12D, and they do different things. Everything you want to do with views, whether it's create a view or delete a view, etc., it sits in the view main menu. So if you go up to main menu view and click on it, you'll see there are a lot of view options. Now, if I go to view, main menu view, and I go to create, so if I'm going to create a new view, main menu view and create, you'll notice there are a number of different options here. We've got plan view, we've got perspective view, and we've got section view. And then we've got plan OpenGL view and perspective OpenGL view. The plan, section, and perspective views, they use the Windows fixed engine. So it redraws every pixel on the screen and you can view every element in 12D on them, but they are slow. If you use the OpenGL view, then 12D goes and uses your dedicated graphics card, which is a bit more powerful than the standard views coding. So we can display things a lot faster, and these OpenGL views are significantly gruntier. A really good example is if you've imported a point cloud into 12D and you want to view it and manipulate it, I strongly recommend that you open it up in a plan GL view. If you just wanted to view it in a plan view, I would use the plan OpenGL view, and that would mean that would make your viewing of the data a lot faster than if you just had it in a normal plan view. The trick with the OpenGL view is that those views don't show you the line styles or symbols, so it's more of a doing view than a plotting view, if you will. So, like I said, it's great for viewing point clouds or rasters because those are some memory heavy things that you'll be doing. Below the view tabs, these are your view tabs down here. Below your view tabs, we've got a bit of grey space. And then we've got things called the output window. Where the grey space is, I like to call this the status bar. It'll tell you what's going on. For example, when you draw a line, you'll see some options come down here, and we'll do this very shortly. You'll see some options come down here, and it'll tell you what 12D needs you to do to be able to complete the task that you have selected, basically. Um, and then we've got our output window. The output window, sometimes when you hit the go button on a panel, or in our case, if you update, or, when we go to update something, you might get a message in the output window. If there's an error or something like that, you'll see the output window start to flash. Um, when it starts to flash, it's a good time to go and just hover over the output window word name, and your output window will pop up and you can see what the error is. So that's a little bit about what everything currently is in 12D as it is open. And before we move on to doing any work in it, I will mention the final part of the tools that are open that I should have mentioned earlier, but here we are. So right above your views and a couple below your CAD properties toolbar, we've got these letters, and these letters represent our snaps. So it's P for point, L for line, F for face, those are tin faces. So you've got a whole range of snaps up here. And it's a push in for on, a push out for off system. For example, if the very last one is an M snap, so it's for many elements. So if I push that in, you'll see the button's pushed in, and it's gone a lighter grey, and that means that the many element snap is now on. I can turn it off again simply by clicking on it, and the button is pushed out, and it's it's a bit more easier to notice, and so now the M snap is turned off. So if you're ever doing some work in 12D and you're trying to select something and it's not working, first thing you want to do is go up to these snaps up here, these letters with boxes around them, and just make sure that the snaps that you require are turned on. Okay, so if everyone can go and make view 1 active, right down the bottom of the 12D page, you've got some tabs, and if we just go and hit tab where it says 1, we will make view 1 active. You can work with your views stacked as they are, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to maximize my view, so this view 1 takes up the whole space. And I can just go and click on the maximize button, or you can go to the view controls, which is the last button on the toolbar just below the view name, and just go and hit the middle button, which will make it full size and expand it out. Now we are in plan view number 1, and you will notice with it expanded that we've got some toolbars up here on the top of the black area. We've got some tools. These tools are specific to the view. Every view down here in these tabs, you can tab across from view to view, and you'll notice that every view has their own set of tools. For example, if I go to the long section view or a section view and expand that out, so down the bottom, LS is our section view. That's highlighted so we know that's the active view that we're in. And if you go to the top of the black area, which is our view area, you'll notice there are some tools. And these tools are different to what we had in our plan view. And that's because these view tools are specific to each view type, or in each view that you have open. I can go back to my plan view now, and we can carry on with our absolute basics. If you ever Tabbing between the views. If you're going, if you're switching between survey and design, you're tabbing between the two, and it doesn't get highlighted. Or it doesn't come to the front or anything like that. It's a thing called it's what we lovingly call it sticky views, and it's a bit of a Windows bug, and only seems to happen on some PCs. And the way to resolve it is just to refresh all your views. And the way to do that is if you go up to main menu view, go view and go down to window and just choose one of these. I normally choose cascade, and it cascades all my views, and then I can just go and select the view that I want to be working in. So I'm going to go to view 1 and just maximize it. And here we are, and you'll notice now when you tab across, they all become active as they should normally. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a trick with 12D, and if you ever have views that don't get highlighted or don't come to the front, it'll be because your views are a bit sticky. Technical term. Right, now let's go and draw some lines on the screen so we can do some stuff with it. And the idea with us getting here and drawing lines on the screen, etc., is to get you set up and understanding how to select things on the screen in 12D and what each mouse button represents, and also familiarizing yourself with some 12D technology. So on the left hand side, you've got a whole bunch of tools. On the top here, we've got some CAD tools. Third one from the top, you'll see it's a line. So third one from the top is your line option. If you can click on hold, you'll notice all our line tools have come up, and we're just going to go and select the first one. And that's our CAD line between 2 points. So click and hold, select it so it's highlighted blue, and to select it and start drawing a line, you just let your left mouse button go. Um, and we're in version 15, and in version 15 there is a new thing called a heads up display. So if you, on your screen and on mine, you'll notice that wherever my mouse cursor is, 12D is telling me what the X, Y, and a Z value of that is. So there's no Z options at the moment because we haven't given this project a height. So you'll see that wherever I move my mouse, the coordinates get updated. On the bottom right of your screen, you'll see the coordinates are displayed there as well. So down in the status bar, you'll see it says CAD line 2 positions, pick first position. So it's saying please pick your first position, and then in some rounded brackets it's saying T for tangential, P for perpendicular. So if we had some data in here already and we wanted to draw a line tangential or perpendicular to something, where you could simply type in T or P and use those shortcuts. And then if you look at the far right of that instruction, you've got in square brackets, it says pix, fast, and menu. And those 3 words represent your 3 mouse buttons. So left mouse button pix, middle mouse button fast accepts, and right mouse button will open up a menu. So basically, when you want to start drawing a line, 12D is saying pick your first position, and we haven't selected anything yet, and we haven't picked anything yet because we haven't clicked on our left mouse button. So you can go to anywhere in the view, and to pick it, you can just click your left mouse button. Now, picking in 12D doesn't mean that it has accepted that position, so it's not where you're going to start drawing from. Picking is simply picking a point. So you'll see that when I click on my screen with my left mouse button, it's not actually drawing something, it's constantly coming up with a circle, a yellow circle, and that's represented representative of the cursor snap. So I've got my cursor snap on. So wherever I hold my cursor and hit the left mouse button to select, my cursor snap pops up, is turned on, and it selects that position on the picks that position on the screen, and you'll see some information pops up, and it says cursor snap, and it's telling you the X and the Y of that position. So until you're satisfied that that's the position you want to start drawing from, you can simply do what we call the 12D shuffle and shuffle around and keep clicking your left mouse button. And when you come to a point where you want to start drawing, you go, oh yeah, okay, I'm ready to start drawing here. You simply select that position by clicking your middle mouse button. And you'll notice down the bottom that once you've hit your left mouse button, the three square brackets at the end now say Picks, Accepts, and Menu. So even though you've picked with your left mouse button, you can just move and pick again. But if you're ready to accept it, you hit your middle mouse button. So let's everyone hit our middle mouse button. And you'll notice now that the information on the view has changed. You can now see the angle and the distance that you're drawing the line at. And down the bottom in the status bar, it'll say pick second position on the left hand side. And in the middle, there's some more shortcuts. For example, you could do a bearing and distance entry, and we'll do that very shortly. But on the right hand side, if you notice again, we're back to picks, left mouse button picks, middle mouse button fast accept, and the right mouse button opens up a menu. So if you'd like to just click anywhere else on the screen and left mouse button pick and middle mouse button accept, you'll notice that we have now got a line. And I have a blue line drawn, and that was because earlier on I had chosen drain, and it's in a model called CAD/waterway. Because I've just drawn a line, that model was active and is now in displayed on the view. If you want to add models to the view, so if you've got some data in your project and you want to add the models to the view that you are currently working on the view toolbar up the top of the view, you can simply go to the add button. And I don't have anything in this at the moment, but that'll change soon. And you can simply go and select what you're adding and hit the add button. And if I want to remove the models I currently have on in the view, I will go to the minus button, and we can simply select the models that we're after and get rid of them. While I'm here, you'll notice we have a CAD folder, much like the CAD model, CAD/model name we have up here. And if I expand that folder by clicking on the expand button, you'll see we have a model called waterway. Now this structure here is representative of the object tree. And what the object tree does is it just makes your life easier in being able to view things and being able to put things in the correct folders. For example, if you're a surveyor and you've gone and done a topo and you've named your function topo day one, and you can simply give all your models a prefix of topo day one slash, and all your models from your topo will go into topo day one. And so you won't have screeds of models here. You will simply have a folder called Topo Day 1, and you can open that up and go and find the models that you're after. This is really handy when you start working in big projects. For example, for any design project, you can have, a number of design models, whether they're roading or they're drainage. You can categorize them into a roads folder or a design drainage folder or a design tunnels folder. And so just as I said, makes your life a lot easier. Now in this model remove and add panel, you'll have a settings button. And if you click on the settings button, you'll have these settings pop up. And what this does is it's just showing you different ways to be able to view your models. The first button here, if I click on that, you'll notice the model structure change and it'll show it in its true model path. So my waterway model is in a folder called CAD, and it's CAD/waterway as the path. Therefore, that's what that button represents. Um, more often than not, you'd be either using the path or the tree, and so I can, if I want to go back to tree, I can simply go and click that tree icon at the end, and we're back to our object tree viewing option. These numbers down the bottom, they represent the number of level of tree you can view. So at this stage, it's number 1 is blue, so that's what's selected, and you can only see the folder here. But if I go and click on 2, automatically now any folder will be open to the second level and you'll be able to view what's there. If you are someone who wants to have all your all your models visible, you can just go and select 6 and everything will be there for you to view. So that's how you would go and add or remove a model. So for example, if I want to get rid of this line from my view, I can go and select the minus button and simply go and select waterway and hit the remove option down the bottom of the remove models panel, and it will remove the blue line which sat in the CAD waterway. Now I want to go and add it back in. If you want to add just one model in, you can go and select the model. If you want to select all the models in a certain folder, go and select the folder and it will select the models automatically. If you want to turn on every single model that is in that in the list that pops up, go and hit the second button, which is add all, and it will add all the models that are there to the view. So that's a little bit about our view, and we've just drawn a line. What we're going to do now is we're going to go and have a look at our segment and our line snaps. So, and we'll do this by starting to draw another line. Now, I have not yet hit escape on my keyboard, or I have not yet chosen another tool from the left hand side or anywhere else. So you'll notice in my status bar it says CAD line to position, pick first position. So that drawing a line function is still active, so I can just start drawing. But if I was to cancel out of it, if I wanted to do something else, I could simply go and select another tool, or I could just hit escape. And the status bar will now be empty, telling us that nothing is active. So what we're going to do is, we're going to go and select our CAD line tool again. So third from the top, press and hold and go and select your CAD line 2 points option. And now that you've got your CAD line 2 points option selected, if you go and click anywhere on the line that you've already drawn, if you click anywhere on that line, you'll notice that line will be highlighted yellow. And you'll notice that wherever you click on the line itself, a yellow square pops up. And that is your line snap. So this yellow square is the line snap, and an information box will pop up telling you information about the line and the position on the line that you have chosen. If you go and select either end of that line, a little diamond, a yellow diamond pops up, and that is your point snap. And the information box that pops up will say point snap at the top, and it will give you information about that point. So that's our line and our point snap. To draw the second line, we can just start drawing anywhere you like in a similar direction to me, because we'll go and have a look at some snaps. So just go and draw another line, and we'll just go and click anywhere down the bottom right of that view, left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept, and now we've started to draw another line. And what I'm going to show you now is the fast accept. And so if everyone goes and just hits left mouse, if just everyone goes and hits middle mouse button accept anywhere on the screen, preferably not close to the line that you had drawn previously. So anywhere where you can, go and hit the middle mouse button. So don't hit left mouse button, just hit your middle mouse button. And that was me showing you the fast accept. So the fast accept, you don't need to select using the left mouse button. Where you're happy with it, you just go and select press down on your middle mouse button and it will fast accept. I do recommend that you get very comfortable with 12D before you start using fast accepts, because there is a bit of a trick to it. So anywhere where something is able to be fast accepted, when you click the middle mouse button, it will be selected. But there is a hierarchy to what gets where that position ends up. If there is a point nearby, it will pick the point. And there is a search radius as well, which you can go and change in the settings. And so if there's a point, it'll pick the point. If there's no point within the search range, it will look for a line and it will snap to the line and finish drawing or doing what you're doing on that line. If there's no line, then it'll just select the cursor position and finish your option there. So just so you know, be wary of using fast accept until you've gotten quite familiar with it. Now that we've got the hang of lines, we can go and look at CAD snaps. In your snaps, for example, if you want to start drawing a line at the intersection of the two lines that we've drawn, we can go and use CAD snaps. You don't have to do, have like a junk model or something where you create the intersection and then start drawing from there. You can just use these very smart tools called CAD snaps in 12D and start drawing wherever you want to be drawing from. We have our CAD snaps. They sit just below your CAD properties toolbar, and you'll see these 5 boxes with little blue boxes or lines around them, and those are your CAD snaps. If you hover over them, you'll see there's a snaps CAD point and a snaps CAD intersection, and again they've got a black triangle, so they've got a fly out, and if you click and hold, you have a lot of options pop up. What we're going to do as part of this exercise is actually show you how to bring those toolbars up so you don't need a flyout. And the way we're going to do that is if everyone can go to main menu view, go to main menu view and go to toolbars. The third option is toolbars, and we're looking for our snaps. And if we go down to the S's, the snaps, I'd like everyone to turn on snaps CAD intersection, and you just use the tick box, and snaps CAD point. And once you've got those toolbars open, you can go and finish. And my toolbars have opened up on the other screen, so I'm just going to bring them over here. So you can see that I've got a snaps CAD point toolbar and a snaps CAD intersection toolbar. Now, because I am streaming this, when I move my mouse around, the heads-up display can cause a bit of a lag. So I'm going to go and turn it off, and I'll show you how to do that if you want to do the same. It's really handy to have, but it's a little bit difficult when I'm streaming something. So I'm just going to go up to Project, and I'm going to go down to Settings, Project into Settings. And on the left hand side, the third plus button is CAD. The third option is, third tree option is CAD. Just going to expand CAD and go and select heads up display and turn the heads up display off. So untick it and just go set and finish. And now if I start drawing something, you'll notice that information does not pop up. So back to our toolbar. So I've got SnapsCAD intersection toolbar and I've got a SnapsCAD point toolbar. You can resize these toolbars. So the nice long one is a lot of snap point options, and there's a little one which is your CAD intersection options. With these snaps CADs, you do need to have a command active for them to be working. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I just go and hit the first one, which is a snaps point command, if I just go and click on that, you'll notice down the bottom my output window has started flashing. And if I just click on that, it says snaps CAD, no select is active to bind to. So like I say, you need to have something active. You need to have a CAD line or something rather active for you to use those snaps. So let's go and get our line command active again. So back to third option from the left, from the top on the left. So press and hold and let your left mouse button go when you're on 2 points. And what we're going to do now is start drawing a line from the intersection of these two lines. So it's saying pick your first position, and what we need to do is go and select our first option on our little toolbar, which is our Snaps CAD intersection toolbar, which is snaps to segments. So if you click on that, and down the bottom in our status bar, 12D saying pick your first segment. You can click on either one of those lines. You can click on either one of those lines. I'm going to select the one on top first. Left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept. The first segment is selected. Down the bottom in the status bar, it's saying please pick your second segment. Now I'm going to go and pick the second line. Left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept. And you'll see that it's now started drawing a line from the intersection of those two lines. So there's no need to create like a junk model or anything like that to have any sort of CAD stuff done. You've got snaps and you've got other CAD tools to do that with. What else can we do? Now for our second position, let's go and use a midpoint of 2 points. You can pick any of 2 points either end of these lines. So if I go and hit the fifth button on the Snaps CAD point toolbar, which is Snaps midpoint, and I can go and select uh, the end of this line here. So it's saying please pick first position, left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept, and then I can go to the second position, which is the end of another line, left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept, and you'll see that that line has now been drawn from the intersection of the first two lines that we drew, which is the first snap that we used, to the midpoint between two endpoints of the line that I selected earlier. So very, very easy to use these snaps in 12D and very, very easy to get your head around them. Encourage you to go and have a play around with this in your time. Um, we'll be in any training session that we do here at 12D, you can almost guarantee you'll be using some sort of snaps. So familiarize yourself with them, and certainly go and open up some of the other toolbars if you like from the View Toolbars menu. Now, we've gotten the hang of drawing a line which mouse button does what in 12D. And the next fundamental we want to look at 12D strings. And what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to go and draw a string. So far we've drawn some lines, and now we're going to go and draw a string. With the string input we're about to do here, we will look at some typed entries. So we'll type in some coordinates and some bearings and distances to this is to highlight the different ways of entering data into 12D and to explain to you the way 12D is delimited. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and change the color of my string so it differentiates the stage of work that we're in. So I'm just going to go up to my CAD properties toolbar up here and hit the color button, and I'm going to select yellow, nice bright color. And then to start drawing a string, on the left hand side of your 12D page, you've got third one down, back to the CAD line toolbar, and we're going to go to the third one across. Now the third one across is called line string. We're going to select line string, and what we're going to do now is, instead of selecting somewhere on the screen, we're going to we'll type in a coordinate, and to do that you can simply just start with hitting the spacebar, and it will bring up this enter XYZ panel here. And all we need to do in here now is just enter the coordinate that we're going to start drawing a string at. And in this case, we're going to start drawing a string at a x of 100. So if you type in 100, and then we're going to give it a space. Now, 12D is a space delimited software. So when you need to separate things, in this case we're separating the x and the y, so we can tell 12D the coordinate that we're drawing from. We separate the x and the y with a space. So we've done 100 for the x and we've gone space, and now 200 for the y, and we'll go space. X and the y in this typed entry is mandatory, but you do not have to add in a z value. In our case, we might as well. We'll give it a z value of 50. And once you've entered in your coordinate, you can just type in enter. And you'll see that 12D started drawing a string, and it's way down. And if you zoom in and out using your middle mouse button, and all you need to do is just scroll your middle mouse button to be able to zoom in and out. And you'll see that 12D started drawing a string here at coordinate of 100 and 200. From here, we can go and select a point on the screen, but what we're going to look at now is a bearing and distance entry. And like any other typed entry, and for drawing things in 12D, let's just go with a spacebar again. And we need to tell 12D now that we are about to do a bearing and distance typed entry. So what we need to do is just type in BD space, and that's just set the setting in the background that whatever we type next will be a bearing first and then the distance. In our case, we're just going to type in 45.3030, and that's just 45 degrees, 30 seconds, and 30 minutes. So it's a degrees, minutes, seconds entry. Space to separate the bearing and the distance, and we are going to just type in 50 meters. So type in 50. You don't have to type in meters or anything like that. 12D is unitless, and then you can just type in enter. You can see we have a line drawn, 45 degree, 30 minutes and 30 seconds, and 50 meters. If you were, for example, going to do an angle and distance entry, you would simply just type in AD space and then type in your angle and distance. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a relative coordinate entry. So what we're going to do is give, say to 12D, from the last vertex on the string, please draw a line. In our case, we're going to go 100 meters on the x-axis to the right and 10 on the y-axis. So if I just go space and just type in R for relative coordinate entry, space, 100 space 10. If you go enter, you'll see that the next point will be 100 across and 10 up from the last point that on your string. Now I've finished drawing what I wanted to, and I can simply just go escape and escape again to finish the CAD line string command. We should all have a line, we should all have a string on our on our 12D screen now. And what I'm going to show you next is a little bit of string theory, not the super physicsy kind. We just need to understand what the 12D string speak is. So when you're doing things like uh, adding vertices and deleting vertices, etc., you understand what that all means. So I'm just going to bring up my little diagram here. And this is to show you what the four parts of a string are in 12D. We have vertex. So we've got four vertices on this picture, 3 and 4. Between two vertices, we have a segment. So segment, so that between two vertices we have a segment. The string in 12D also has a direction. So when we started drawing our string last, we went from a left to right direction, and I will show you how to find out which direction something has been drawn in. And finally, this N, the big maroon N button, the string has a name. These four parts of a string will relate directly to our four deletes that I'll show you. So you can delete four parts on a string, or rather delete things four ways. And just when you come to think about this string, just pretend the vertices are pins on a corkboard and the segments are the rubber bands that you can put. So if you grab this vertex here and you pull it up to the top, you'll notice that the segments that are attached to that vertex will move with it. So that's the way I like to think of the strings in 12D. Let's go back to 12D and I can show you how you can see which direction something has been drawn in. And just know that directions and the direction of a line is quite important. And we're going to do some picking with direction as well. And again, it's quite important to understand what the picking with direction does and how things work in this program. To to find out which direction something has been drawn in, you need to turn on your vertex indices. And if I go up to my toggle button, which is my tick cross button on my view toolbar, click on it once, and then if you go down to vertex indice, it's the seventh option down, and just tick it once and you'll see it says off currently, and if you tick it once it will be turned on. So you'll notice that we drew from left to right. So we've got vertex number 1 on the far left, 2 in the middle, and 3 on the right. There is some other information that we can look at on this string. What I'd like to do now is I'm going to go back to my toggle button and just go and turn my Z values on. So you'll be able to see how you can view your Z values. And you'll remember when we first drew our string, we gave it X, Y, and a Z. We gave it a Z of 50, but following on from that, we didn't enter in any Z values as we were doing some viewing and distance and some relative coordinate entry. So you'll see that it's only the first vertex, so vertex number 1 has a level of 50, and you'll notice something peculiar. In the brackets, it says NT. NT stands for not tinnable. This means that if you go and create a surface, this point will not be included in that surface. There is a setting you can change to make this tinnable, and you might go through that in your training. But we are just going to go through, and what the first thing we'll do is we'll do some vertex edits, and then we'll do some offsetting of this string, and that will get you familiarized with how strings work in terms of picking with direction and so forth. So what we can do is I can show you how to move these vertices around, and to be able to do anything on the string with relation to CAD vertices, on the left hand side in your toolbars I'm just going to use this upside down pentagon as a reference. There's a CAD string option, that's the upside down pentagon. I'm going to go ahead and use that as a reference from now on. On the left hand side, on the left hand side you have the upside down pentagon. Two up from the upside down pentagon is the CAD vertex. So if you click and hold on the CAD vertex, the fourth one along is extend. The fifth one along is extend 3D. So just have a play around with extend and extend 3D next time. And then we've also got on third one from the end, we've got third one from the end is insert. So if we click and hold on our CAD vertex toolbar, the first one there is move. And we're going to select move. We're going to let go of our left mouse button and move is selected. And I'm just going to go and select vertex number 2. Left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept. And I am now moving the second vertex around. And you'll see that as I move the vertex around, the segments attached to it are moving around as well. So I'm just going to move it a little bit. You can move your one wherever you like. And to place it, left mouse button pick and middle mouse button accept. So I have now moved my vertice from where it was originally. We can do other things in here. We can go and add a vertice to this string. There's a difference between creating a point and adding a vertex to the string. If I was to, on the left hand side, go up to the very top of the toolbar and create a CAD point, that would just be a CAD point. And if you do it on the string, it would sit on top of the string, but it would not be part of the string. It would just be a CAD point sitting up here, and the vertex numbers on the string would still read 1, 2, and 3. When you add a vertice to the string, it becomes part of it. And we're just going to go and look at that now. So back to our CAD vertex tool, which is 2 up from the upside down pentagon on the left. If you click and hold and go to the third one from the end. Third one from the end is insert, and we'll select that. And let's go ahead and insert a vertex between vertices 2 and 3. You can just middle mouse button pick where you want to insert the vertice, and left mouse button pick where you want to insert the vertex, and middle mouse button accept. And it starts, you have now the option to move your vertex position on the string, and you can, again, much like moving any other vertex, you can see that the segments are moving around with it. So I'm just going to put the vertex slightly to the north of where the original string is. Left mouse button select, middle mouse button accept, and you'll see we have an extra vertex on the string. We've got vertices number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because we've added another vertex on the string, we now have 4 vertices. We've got a Z value on our first point. We can go ahead and add Z values to our other vertices now. There are a few ways of doing this. I'm going to show you a very basic way. And back to our CAD vertex toolbar, if we go and click and hold and go to the second one from the end, and that will let you edit the height. And we're going to select the edit height option. Let's go to vertex number 2, left mouse button select, middle mouse button accept, and the typed input for height box will pop up. And I'm just going to type in 60 meters here, and if you just go enter, you will now notice that vertex number 2 has a height of 60. If you look down at the status bar, that's that grey area below the view tabs, you'll see that the CAD height option is still active. So without doing anything else, I can continue to change the heights on the remaining vertices on the string. So let's go to vertex number 3. left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept. And again, the typed input box pops up, and I'm just going to change this to 65 and hit enter. And now to do the last one, left mouse button pick, middle mouse button accept. For good measure, we'll just go back to 50. So the string goes up and then back down to 50. So all our vertices on the string now have heights, which is fantastic. If you wanted to have a look at this string in section view, very easy to do. I'm just going to move my main view to the left, to half of the screen. And if you want to move your views around, right on the very end of the view toolbars is your view control. If you click on that once, and the top area will show you where your views can be placed. You can of course manually move your views around, but this is a nice way to just quite quickly place some views. I'm going to make this view number 1 my left half of the screen, and then I'm going to go and select a section view and make that the second half of my right half of my screen. Just going to move these toolbars out of the way and dock them up here so they're out of the way for now. Now if you want to view this string here in the section view, all you need to do is go up to the view toolbar on the section view and click on the profile button first of all, which is the the fifth button along is the profile button. You click on that once, and then go and pick with your left mouse button on the string and middle mouse button accept. And you'll see on our section view, we now can see the profile of our string. It looks quite dramatic because we have our exaggeration set to 10. So on the left hand side of the profile button is our exaggeration setting, and if we just click on that, there are other settings here as well. That is the toggle option for the section view. We can turn our grades on. So here on the top of the section view, we now have our grades. And if I just go and hit the toggle button again, and I'm just going to set the exaggeration to 2 times just to make it less dramatic. And you'll see that now it's nicer to view. We've got our grades up there. And the other thing you'll notice is if I move my cursor in the section view along the string, there is a cross cursor on the plan view on the left half of my screen, which is moving in the same position. So you can these are dynamic views. So the position that you have your cursor on along the string in your section view corresponds to where the cross is on the plan view. So again, dynamic views. We can also go and view the string in the 3D view. So if I go to the 3D view now, down the bottom, select the 3D view, and I can maximize this. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to put it on the right half. And if I just go and add the CAD waterway model and just hit the redraw button, you'll see if I zoom in, you'll see that you can now view the line in 3D. This is just to show you that the different views. Once you have some more data, especially surface, it's much nicer to view in the 3D view. And for those of you who'll be doing some drainage and other bits and pieces, you'll really want to harness the power of the 3D view with all the BIM objects that we have in 12D. 12D is a fully BIM compliant software, and I think you'll find that side of things very exciting in 12D. Right, so we've looked at the string, we've sectioned it, we've turned it on in the 3D view. What I'd like to do now is I'm just going to show you picking with direction and knowing what that means in 12D. So let's go back to our view number 1. You can click on it, click on the tab at the bottom, and I'm going to maximize that view. The easiest way to show you picking with direction is to parallel or offset the string. and we'll go and do that in just a moment. One thing you need to know is depending on the whichever direction the string is in, if you are offsetting or doing any parallels, positive numbers, if you put in 20 meters, the string will go to the right of the direction that you've selected. And if it's a negative number, it's on the left. So positive right, negative left. Let's go and have a look at that in practice. So if we go to our upside down pentagon on the left hand side, click and hold, and let's go to the fifth option, which is parallel. The fifth button along is parallel. And what we're going to do now, to pick with direction, simply put your cursor over the string, click and hold your left mouse button down on the string and drag it in the direction that you want to pick it in. So I've gone along the string from left to right, and to select that direction, you let the left mouse button go. So click and hold on the line, drag in the direction you want, and let the left mouse button go, and then middle mouse button accept. Once you've selected the direction, middle mouse button accept. And I'm going to type in a positive number. I'll type in 50, and you'll notice that the string will be offset to the right. And in this case, if I wanted to offset the height, I could do that as well, but I'm not going to for this exercise. I can simply just go enter, and you'll notice that I now have a string which is 50 meters parallel to the right of the original string. Just going to change my string color to, let's just go with cyan, and I will do the same thing in the other direction. Going to go back to the CAD string toolbar, go to the fifth button along, which is parallel, and I'm going to now choose the string in the other direction. You can select the string anywhere on the string. It doesn't have to be at the ends or anything like that. So I'm going to select it from vertex 3 to vertex 2, so going right to left. So 3 to 2, selected the direction, middle mouse button accept, and I'm going to type in I'm going to type in a positive number actually, and you'll notice that it'll go to the right, right of the direction that I chose, which will be on top. So if I just go enter and enter, the blue line there is what I've offset. So I selected the string from vertex 3 to vertex 2, which is from the right to left, and I gave it a positive offset, and it went to the right. I'm going to show you this in the negative numbers. So if I select the string from vertex 1 to 2, so left to right, middle mouse button accept, and I'll give it a negative number. Let's go for negative 20. Go enter and enter. Because I selected left to right and gave it a negative number, it's gone to the left. And if I go right to left, so 3 to 2, middle mouse button accept, go negative 20, it'll go to the right. So that's just a little bit more about direction in 12D, and just for you to remember to take note of the directional lines drawn in, and if you need to turn the vertex indices on to figure that out, it's just up in the view toolbar, the toggle button, the tick cross button in the plan view, tick on that and just go and turn your vertex indices on. Now, what I'm going to do now is just show you some other view controls. And to do that, I'm going to go and import some 12D data. And this is just a viewing tool now. For you guys, you can simply use those viewing tools on the data that you already have on your screen. I'm just going to import some of this topo data just to show you a couple of extra things as well. So what I'm going to do now, to import 12DA files, you will do this a lot in your time, whether it be training or simply using 12D, is simply go up to File, So file has all your file options, for example, input 12D and output 12D. This is for inputting 12DA data and outputting 12DA data. 12DA is the native file format for 12D. And then the data input tab has all the other options that you can use to input data. We've got, you can bring in DWGs, just, CSV files, XYZs. You can bring in 2D PDFs and KML files. There's a whole range of files 12D can handle, and I encourage you to have a look and have a play around. In our case, I'm just going to go input 12D, and I'm looking for a 12DA data. I've got to browse for data, you simply click on the yellow folder button. I have this topo.12da file in my project, so I don't need to go hunting, but if you did, you can come down and go to browse, or if you've got something in your customer, user, or library, those options are there as well. And remember, anywhere there's a little triangle, that's a flyout. You can just hover over these ones. You don't have to click and hold. And this, you'll notice that anything that's contained in the customer library will pop up if I just walk right. In my case, I'm just going to go and select Typo 12DA. I'm not going to use a map file today, but because I'm bringing in data from an external source, I am going to give all the models that are in the 12DA file a prefix. So I'm going to call this topo, capitals topo import, and a /. Everything that comes in from that 12DA file now will go into topo import folder, and then it will retain its original model names as it comes in. That's all I need to do at this stage, and I can just go read, and it's now imported. I can see there's some topo data there now, and I can just go finish. When I imported this, I've got some settings set where if I import something, it opens a data import plan view and places all the important information in there. Let's go and hit the minus button, and you'll see that because I called my prefix topo import /, it's created a folder, topo import /, and survey was the folder that is the object in the folder tree where all the topo data is contained. So if I expand this folder out, I can see there are some subfolders. So there are many levels in this object tree. If I expand building, I have two models. Building as a line and a retaining wall. And this is really just showing you the power of object tree. For example, if I open all these folders out, you'll see that the panel is starting to get quite crowded. This is one of the reasons why object tree is amazing, because you can simply do this, and then okay, I just want to go and find something in topo import, and then you can look for what you want and turn it on and off. And if you are working on projects where there are hundreds and hundreds of models, just condensing it down and making it more sensible and putting in a nice little structure can really help. Close that now. So you'll see I've got a lot of topo information in here. If I zoom in, there's a lot of trees that's been surveyed. There's some fences, and there's a bush line, for example, and lots of drains. There's a lot of information there. If I was to go and if I want to go and do some extra stuff to it, I might want to turn the Z values on. And to do that, we'll just go to a tick cross toggle button, and I'm going to turn the Z values on so I can see what the levels are. And wow, that's quite a busy, busy survey. And I've just turned on the Z values for every model in that view, and it's quite busy to look at. So there are some things you can do to make your life easier. Realistically, if you want to view some levels at this sort of level, you're better off just creating a surface and contouring it, or just doing it in a 3D view or otherwise. What you can do is, if you if you zoom in, so I've zoomed in this far, and this is really how far I want to be zoomed in before I want to be able to view any Z values. What you can do is you can actually set it so it does that. And the way to do it is on the left-hand side of the plus button on the view toolbar, if you click on that and walk right on settings, walking right is just placing your mouse on that black triangle and the other menu will open up. And if you go down to Z values, because that's what we're dealing with, and walk right on Z values, and the first option there is single, and we're going to click on single, and you'll see that these Z values for view, so we're working on a view by view basis, will pop up. In here, I am I'm zoomed in where I want to be when I want to be able to see the Z values. So to set that setting, I can just go size max. That just means that these Z values will only pop up when I'm this far zoomed in to my view. Once you've hit size max, you can just go set, and that sets the setting and saves it, and go finish. And you'll notice now when I zoom out, the Z values have turned on. And when I zoom back in, the Z values are now turned on. And if I keep zooming further than what I had set in my options, it will just stay on. But when I've zoomed out far enough, there are no Z values that are turned on. You can do the same thing with point IDs and string names if you like. But that's just to show you that you can customize the way things look on the view. To change some other settings about this view, for example, plotting scale or how something's displayed, there is a view settings tool on the toolbar. On the left-hand side of the yellow star on the view toolbar, if you click on if you hover over it, it'll say properties, but it's on the left-hand side of the yellow star. If you click on the properties button, it will open up the settings for the view that you're in. So we are in the data import view. And so it's open up the data import view settings. And if I go down to settings, this is where I can start customizing what my view is going to look like. For example, my plotting scale is a 1 to 1,000. If I wanted to change it to 1 to 500, I can do this here. You can just type in 500, and when you move away, your view would have scaled to what you've typed in. We can change the way fills are viewed. So if I zoom in here, this a pond most likely is filled in. It's filled in cyan. I can turn off the fill if I like from the setting. So now the fill is turned off, but I notice that I can't actually see the edge of the pond either. That's where the draw face edges comes in. So you'll notice that draw face edges is actually off. It says no. So if I go and click check the checkbox, we now have my pond edge back. And if I click on the face fill again, it's filled in again. So this you can go and play around with some of these settings. Really good if you can familiarize yourself with these and figure out what they do and how you like them. Um, there are some other settings. If you had some tins or a surface in your project, you could go and turn on contours and uh, turn on flow arrows for it as well. That's all in here. Your toggles, for example, any Z value setting that we set earlier, how we set the setting where when we zoom in so far, it will only turn on the Z values then. That is actually saved, and you'll notice that there is a toggle setting on the Z value option where it says yes. We can just go finish. I don't need to change anything else in here. If you like the way your view looks and you want to save those settings away, a good example is you might have a lot of people working on the same project and you might like your views set up different ways. You might like to have different set of data, for example, in your data import view or your survey view. Anything setting that you've set for the view, you can actually write a view settings file out for. And the way to do that is if you go to the view favorites button, which is your yellow star. If you click on the favorites button, and the second option is just create and edit favorites. You click on create edit favorites and it's chosen the view and it's selected the settings that you are saving. So you don't have to save the models as they are. You can just select whichever settings you want. And we're just going to write a favorites file out. I'm just going to call this test. Oh, spell test. And just go write and go finish. So if someone comes along and removes all the models and changes the settings in my data import view, I can just go, oh, that's right, I had a favorites file that I'd put away. And to import that favorites file, we go back up to a yellow star. The first option is favorites. You walk right to favorites, and there's my test favorite file that I had. I'll double click on that and you'll see that my view is now restored to the way it was when I wrote the favorites file out. While I've got the topo data there, I'd like to just show you how powerful the naming convention can be. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off all the data and just turn back on the vegetation model. And that's a really easy way to show you what I mean. I'm just going to turn on vegetation model. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of green squiggly lines on our view, and I've got, so this is the edge of vegetation or edge of bush, and if I just string inquire on it to figure out what it is just F2 on your toolbar and go pick and select my vegetation model, and you'll notice the name is VEEV. So VEEV just stands for vegetation, VE vegetation, EV edge of vegetation, I imagine. So that's the name. The name could be Bob for all we know, but the fact is that it's got a name and it's in a certain model, but mainly it has a name. The other way you can do any string inquires is if you go on the left hand side, tools, upside down pentagon, 3 down from that is the I button. If you just click on I, click and hold, and the first option is string inquire. That's another way to bring up the string inquire panel. With the string inquire panel, there is actually a really handy thing called copy to clipboard. If you have that ticked and you need to go and get some information about a vertex or a line in your view and put it in a text format somewhere, all you need to do is just select pick. Go and select the point that you want. I'll just select this point here. And you don't need to do anything else. In the background, 12D has copied all the information that you can see about the point that I've selected. It's copied it in the background. And if I just open Notepad, I'll show you. All I need to do is just paste that information there. All I need to do is just go Control V, and all the information that was showing up when I selected the point, I have now pasted in this notepad. So a really good way to get text information about a certain point on your view and be able to paste it really quickly. So for that to happen, you just need to have that copy to clipboard option on when you open your string inquire panel by going to the I button on the left hand side, click and hold, and the first option, or you can simply just on your keyboard go F2, and that will open up the string inquire option. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is how easy it is to change some properties about all this vegetation that is on my view in bulk. Before we get started, what I'm going to do is bring all my topo information back in so you can just see how easy it is to pick a few things and change them using the name out of a very crowded set of data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Main Menu Utilities, go down to A to G, and go to Change. This will open the Change String and Element Information panel. What this panel does is you can take whatever information you want shown on your view, or you can select models, and then you can give them new properties. For example, you can give things a new name, new color, you can change the line style, and then you down here is your target. So you can copy all the data that you're changing to a model, or you can move it to a model, or you can, if the very first button, if you click on there, it will just replace the existing data. So I encourage you to have a look at this panel and just familiarize yourself with what this target here down the bottom does. Each button does something different, but it's a good idea to just roughly know what those buttons do. And it's also a good idea to have a play around with picking data. You'll see the top part of this panel and the bottom part of the panel quite a lot. A lot of panels where you're doing something or changing a feature about the data, you will see those panels. The very top panel is data to convert. This is where you go and select what data you'll be using. Picking something in models and views are easy. It's a good idea to just understand what the lasso and polygon buttons do as well. One option we're going to look at today is the filter select. So the second to the last button on the right hand side is filter select. And what this does is this lets you grab a big piece of data and start filtering it down and picking exactly what you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is just select the the view that I have my data in, which is the data import view. I'm going to select the data import view. And if I just hit filter select, down the bottom it'll tell you how many elements you have. So I've got 1,862 elements selected from 22 models. That's quite a lot. That is quite a lot. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the string info tab, and I'm going to look for the edge of bush, the bush line that I showed you earlier, which was green. I'm going to go and select that using the name. And if you know the name, you can simply type it in that text box there. But if you don't know the name, you can either click on the maroon N button and go same as, click left mouse button, click same as, and go and select what you're after, or simply in the text box, middle mouse button click, go and select what we're changing. So in this case, we're going to select the bush line, and I've selected it here, which is VEEV. You can also filter by color, line style and weight. We're not going to do any of that today, but what I'm going to do down here is I'm actually going to give it a new color. So in the new color box, I'm going to go and select a color, and for purpose of this exercise, I'm going to select white. There are other tabs, and again, I encourage you to get used to using filter select. It's a very powerful tool, and I can, if I knew exactly which point ID I was looking for, I could filter down using that as well. And of course, you can use attributes to filter through your data. You will learn more about attributes as you move on and as you go through the trainings that we have and you play around with 12D a little bit more. But basically, attributes are metadata about the points and strings, etc. you have in your project. And these attributes are very, very powerful. You can use the attributes to do a whole range of things in 12D. But the really cool thing about attributes is, given that 12D is a fully BIM compliant piece of software, is when you export information out of 12D, you can export the attributes along with it, so you don't lose any of the integrity of the data that you have. As I say, as you get more familiar with 12D model, you will certainly learn the power of attributes, and I strongly encourage you to use them. Okay, so I've chosen the new color white, and down the bottom where it says target, I'm just going to go and hit the first button, which will replace the existing data. So currently all the vegetation lines are green in this view, but I'm going to change them all to white and overwrite the model. So if I just go and hit filter select again, you'll see all the bush lines are now pink. That means it's been selected. And down the bottom it says 56 elements selected from 22 models. So using the filters that I've put in the panel, 12D has gone and selected all the bush lines. I'll just do another quick one. If I go to string info and just change that to a tree, I can just middle mouse button click and go and select a tree. And if I go filter select again, 12D has now found 706 elements from 22 models. So it's really, really easy to filter select things. I'll just go back and select my bush line again. I can go filter select, and now I'm ready to change all those bush lines to white. So now I can just go and click on change down the bottom left. And if I zoom in and out and refresh my screen, you will now see that these bush lines are now white. They were green, and using the name of the items, the objects in the view, and our filter select tool on this change panel, we have now coloured them all white. Once you're finished, you can simply go and click on finish. I'm going to finish there, and now it's time for you to just continue practicing what we've seen today. And if you have any questions, I will in just a moment give you some contact information that you can use to get in touch with us. Before I go, I would like to show you one thing. If I just go back to utilities and open that change panel again, is I'm just going to show you how to quickly get to the help menu. So while I'm in the change panel, if I go and click F1 on my keyboard, the help menu will start opening up. Okay, so the manual has opened up, and you'll notice that it has actually opened up in the right position. So that's the beauty of having a panel open in 12D, and if you need any help with it, just clicking on F1 while you're on the panel and it will take you to the correct position in the help manual. Very, very handy. Another thing to note is in the help manual on the left hand side, I've got the main topics open, and you'll see that majority of this has been broken down by the the main menu. So we've got main menu project, file, and view. That's all we need to see in the help manual, but again, I encourage you to just understand where things are in the help manual and just get used to opening it up. I'm going to shut this down, and that's all we really have for today. Thanks everyone for your time, and I hope you've got the fundamentals down. And for those of you doing training, please go through it as many times as you need to, because once we're in training, we're really getting into the training content. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to call us on the 12D New Zealand support line on 04 528 2885. And of course, you can email us at support@12d.co.nz. And please go and have a look at our 12D Model YouTube channel. There's a world of resources there for you to use and get as much as possible out of it. Thank you.